Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Rugby NorCal Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Delana. And today we sit down with Adam, Lyndon, and George from Western Washington University. Lyndon played for the Wolverines 2 years ago in their Tier 2 national championship team. George played for Silicon Valley. They were the winners of the D1 Silver Division at the time, his senior year. Adam is the head coach of Western Washington. I was really excited to be able to talk to these three. It's really cool to have two NorCal guys come back on the podcast and talk about their first season of college rugby. They did end up winning their conference last year as well, their D1 AA. And so it was pretty cool to see them have so much success. Adam, also great to see a coach of his level at a program in Western Washington where our players could potentially go. And so, highly recommend that you take a listen to this podcast, kind of see how George and Lyndon did their first year. Listen about what Adam's plans are for the future of Western Washington University. And I think it's just really good for any players and coaches and parents to kind of see if this could be an opportunity in the Pacific Northwest. I think it's pretty cool that it gets to go up to Vancouver and in Canada and play games as well. And obviously, they've got all the alumni and everything that you're going to need for a sustainable and legitimate program on the West Coast. So give it a listen. But before we get into that, our first sponsor, World Rugby Shop. World Rugby Shop for all your rugby needs for this rugby season. We really appreciate Brad and Jazz and Noah, everyone over at World Rugby Shop that's been helping us and supporting us for the last few years. And again, they are sponsoring the Rugby NorCal podcast for season 3. So head on over to worldrugbyshop.com right now and get what you're going to need for this rugby season. Secondly, Next Phase Rugby. Western Washington is actually on Next Phase Rugby. Next Phase Rugby is a platform where any of our players can go on, create an account, and connect with college programs and university programs. I say it on this podcast. I say it all the time. Anyone in Northern California that's playing rugby can play at a university level. There's a ton of different types of programs out there, from D1A competitive, D1 AA super competitive professional programs, to your social programs, right, and your community programs, where you just want to play, get a little bit of community, and obviously build some friendships at the university level. So there is a program for everyone out there. Next Phase Rugby is the best place to go to learn about programs, right, and connect with coaches and be able to start that recruiting process. So highly recommended that you get on there, create an account, and start talking to college programs if you want to play rugby at the university level. Secondly, or next, I should say, VO. VO is our AI camera software and camera hardware company that sponsors our program. They are a phenomenal program, phenomenal product that a lot of our clubs in Northern California use. I use it for my club as well. It's really easy to set up, really easy to record. They tag the games for you as well once you upload it into your system. So then you get all the tries, all the scrums, all the lineouts, basically all the set pieces and all the big things that happen in a game are already tagged for you. So you can go right in as a coach and just kind of look at everything that you need instead of having to go through and tag everything and then watch the film. It just kind of eliminates a part of the process for that video analysis, right? And so we love VO. And so go to vo.co and check out what they have in store for us today. Finally, our newest sponsor of the Rugby NorCal podcast. I'm actually super juiced about this one, Irish Rugby Tours. I'm super juiced about it because I've been on two rugby tours that Irish Rugby Tours organized. And it was awesome. Probably some of the best times of my life is when I was in college. I went to Ireland and Wales when I was a junior, went to Italy when I was a senior, both organized by Irish Rugby Tours. So it's not just, Ireland that they can do. They can do pretty much anywhere around the world. And these guys are super professional. And again, some of the best times of my life that I've ever had, touring with my rugby team, with all my friends. Just a great way to immerse yourself in a different culture and different worlds. It's really what makes rugby different, in my opinion. You can play any other sport that you want. You're not really going to be able to go overseas, play games that you play in rugby, and then also, have those relationships with those clubs after. Obviously we're all big on rugby culture and, basically, how we have respect for each other. And so you're able to, really get after it on the field. And then in the evenings and after, you get to actually embrace yourself and immerse yourself within the culture. And the clubs that you play on tour are usually the ones that help you, embrace that culture. So highly recommended Irish Rugby Tours. Head on over, take a look at what they have over there, and go on tour. today. Finally, before we get into it, it'd be great if you could like, subscribe, and share this podcast. We're trying to grow it, trying to make it bigger. So if you're watching this on YouTube right now, just head on down, maybe give us a comment and subscribe. If you're listening to this on Apple or on Spotify, anything that you can do to help us grow the podcast would be super appreciative, or I would be super appreciative of it. The more we grow rugby, the more players we'll have. Hopefully the better we'll do, and the upcoming Rugby World Cups. And so it's not just me; it's it's our community. And so if you can help share our community with everybody, we'd really appreciate that. All right, let's get into the podcast with Western Washington. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Rugby NorCal Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Delana. And in season 2, we met with a lot of colleges and university programs. There's a ton of really great ones out there. Today, we're meeting with a phenomenal program based out of Washington State, Western Washington University, out of Bellingham, Washington, about an hour and a half above Seattle. We've got George Jelley and Lyndon Bailey here. They are former Rugby NorCal players, and Coach Adam Roberts. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing today?
Good. Yeah. Very excited.
We're doing fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
I'm glad you
appreciate
guys
you
are
having
taking
us
the time.
on.
Yeah, of course. I'm super excited to have you guys on here. George and we met at the I've known George for some time,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we saw each other at the USA Japan game and we were talking. And it's like, why are we not getting this program on the podcast? We have to, right? We've got
Yeah.
a couple great NorCal players there, and then when you look at your online presence and you look at everything that you're trying to build there, and your continued success in your conference, like this totally makes sense for NorCal players, especially maybe players that want to get out of California but stay on the West Coast. I think this
Yeah.
totally makes sense. So I'm just super excited that you guys took the time, and so thank you for that. Let's start though a little bit about the program. Adam, I believe this was your first year as the head coach, but there might be a little bit more of a story there. I would love for you to kind of take us through that, and maybe give us how that last season went. It seemed like you guys had a lot of success in both 15s and sevens as a D1 AA program.
Sure. So yeah, it's a program that's kind of near and dear to my heart. I started here, and I'm a Canadian and I live in Canada, and it shows kind of the proximity of where Bellingham is. Like, we're right on the Canadian border. And so that's another piece we'll get into, but it is great for our program to be able to get up. But so in 2010, I started going down and helping with the sevens, and we started having a lot of success, and I started to see kind of this growth pattern in American rugby. And we ended up going to the nationals in 2011 and 2012 for the sevens, and competing against like the best programs. Like, we went toe to toe with St. Mary's, and had like these really great runs. And the director, who's now the director, was actually coaching Paul Horn. He was coaching at UBC, one of the big programs in North America, and he lives in Bellingham. And I said, and he's actually my former high school teacher. And
Ah,
so he was coming. We were basically crossing each other on the I-5. And I said, why don't we take this on, and you become the director here? We'll get the alumni more involved. He graduated from Western Washington back in the day, and so in 2013. Another guy, Alan Law, had been transferred up with BP, and he'd been coaching at Belmont Shore for a lot of years. And so it kind of was this like perfect storm of getting us all together. And we had a great run, well, with myself there until 2018. But there became a few border issues with because I was volunteering in the States at that point. And so in 2018, I had to take a step away from the program because I wasn't allowed to cross anymore for volunteering. And so I ended up coaching the national team. So I
yeah.
was the coach for the Canada U20 team for 6 years, and beat the Americans on multiple occasions.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. Hey,
and
take it when you can get it, amigo. It's all right. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, last year I resigned. I knew that this job was going to be coming available. There's money coming in from the alumni. And so I was actually hired by the university last year, and got all the paperwork. So I didn't actually start until halfway through, just with the U.S. visa. But I have a full U.S. visa now, and it's a fantastic place, and I love it. And so it's been really exciting. But this will be my first full year as like a paid employee of the university. And yeah, so it's really, I'm still a high school teacher up in Canada, but I do this as like a stipend, but hired to the university.
I love hearing that. And because when you look at all the programs across the country, the high school, I'm not, I'm sorry, the university college rugby programs across the country, couple things that you just said there that I really love. One, alumni support. Like all the clubs, all the university programs that have alumni support have sustainability, right? And it's just a huge key into like what makes a good university program, without a doubt. Secondly, I love the fact that you have a stipend that creates more sustainability, more commitment, more, being there every day kind of thing. It's, volunteers can only go so far, in my opinion, right? And so like I think that's just a phenomenal opportunity there. And then I mean, it sounded Paul Horn, UBC, right? You said you had a coach from Belmont Shore. You've had experience at the international level at the U20s. That sounds like an incredible makeup of coaching that really understands what like rugby is all about, right?
Oh, it's just further to that is like, so Paul was he was the coach of the Canada men's team for a number of years in the early 2000s. And so he's got a ton of and did a lot with the Canada U21s and Canada U19s. And then Jeff Lombard, who's the president of our alumni association, he's a member of the U.S. Rugby Hall of Fame, played for the U.S., managed the U.S. So we've got like a really great crew of people that are around the program. And as you said, like our alumni is phenomenal.
I mean, just really great to hear. It sounds like if you're a player that wants to go to I mean, all of that is the making of a program that is sustainable, positive impact on the players, positive impact on the community, and something that can actually grow and that can actually grow and succeed. Like that, that's I think what everyone is looking for. So that's phenomenal. George, Lyndon, I'd love for you guys to talk about it. You had your first year. Obviously, Coach Adam wasn't there the full season, but we're looking at this next year as his first full year. What was it like for your first full year in college rugby? How did that go?
Yeah, Lyndon, you want to go ahead first?
Sure, yeah. I will say that it was just a touch of a slow start, not having Robo for the first bit of it. But, once we had him come aboard, I mean, we were just flying off the rails. Like, it was so much fun, going straight from, high school rugby, just kind of smashing without like a whole lot of thought behind it. And then going into this kind of college gameplay, it was phenomenal, like so exciting. And, we kind of we really did kind of dominate in our season. We did very well, and it was so much fun just playing at that higher level and doing so well while we were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Lyndon. I think both of us said after our first practice, we were like, oh, wow, this is like a whole new level for us coming out of high school. But it was loads of fun. I think the highlight for me was our ability to travel because, of course, our conference last year covered from northern Idaho all the way down to parts of central Oregon. So we got to travel all over the PNW. And then we also got to fly out to Arizona this year just to play GCU as a friendly. And I had loads of fun traveling with the fellas, and it was a lot of really good fun. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. That's great to hear. And you got both of you coming from, championship programs, your senior years, right? Silicon Valley run, I believe, the D1 Silver division. Wolverines won their division as well the year prior, right? Lyndon, you went to the Nationals as well, correct?
Yeah, we went to the Nationals with the Wolverines, and we did very well. We were the Tier 2 national champions.
Tier 2 national champions. So two guys that here have, are championship level players, which is phenomenal to see. It's great to hear that, you guys had that positive experience. What was the the biggest learning curve once you guys started there? Once it really started going, maybe when Coach Robo got there?
I think for me it was the level of fitness you had to be prepared for. Like in high school, you could get away with just kind of hanging out in the middle of the field and running it up a couple times a game, but especially under Robo, who loves his little LQB fastball, you got to be fit. There's no question about it. You can't just be lazy on the field anymore.
Nope.
Yeah, I agree. The fitness definitely has just a massive hand to play. I mean, you see it a lot in high school, but I think you can definitely get away with it a little bit more. But once you start the real learning curves comes with like the efficiency of play. Like it's almost a different game. The strategy is just so much more kind of in depth, and that gets you to a point where you're always running somewhere. You always have to be somewhere on the field, and it's not really like that in high school. So
there's always another job to do.
100%. Yeah. 100%. The details, man. And then the fitness to be able to do the details, right?
Yeah.
Adam, I love hearing your players talk about like how you go about rugby, what your mindset is. Would love for you to, be able to kind of just tell the, the parents, the kids of NorCal that might be listening to, even the coaches of NorCal that are listening to this, kind of what your thoughts are around attack defense, maybe some of your, your strategies or maybe core beliefs or culture beliefs when it comes to, rugby in general. It seems like you've been doing this for a long time, so would love to hear it.
Here, I'm a huge sports fan, like any sport, and I love watching. And so I always kind of coach from like, what do I love to watch? I love to watch teams attack and be, expansive and try different things, be inventive and trying to, carve the defense in different with different looks and different shapes. So I feel like trying to instill them with a toolbox to express and see what's happening, but be able to choose the right tool to go at the defense. And then from a defensive standpoint is really making sure that we're maintaining our shape and discipline. And I think that's a piece that really came on towards the end. Is that I find coaching the American boys, there's no shortness of gumption to play defense, but it's doing it in a thoughtful way. Is you can just honing their skills within the defensive shape to make sure that they're being disciplined and not giving away silly penalties. And that kind of right when I got there, I found that was like a big piece to our game. Is we were so hungry and so just frothing to try and do more. But when sometimes more is less, and being able to like live to fight the next one and go after it at different points. So just that whole mentality around thinking the game through, as you kind of heard them talking about it, but being able to think when you're under duress and being able to go at it that way is a big part of where we're at, is thinking your way through all situations and trying to coach from that side of things. So I would say that's like my big thing. But I mean, we are massive. Our school is really focused on culture and building from within. And because we are D1AA, sometimes we don't often get sometimes maybe the top end recruits. Although we were starting to get more and more, but we're building with like guys that really want to be there and really want to make a difference and go. And so we're kind of that little underdog story some of the time, but where our guys are up for the battle and well coached and play well because of it.
Yeah, certainly, certainly, and I think that kind of mindset is outstanding. And you talk a little bit about a D1AA as well. Obviously, there's the D1A, there's a D1AA. Everyone wants to talk about that all the time, but really, everyone around your area, like in regards to where you could travel, is all D1AA, and so that's why we're going that route. If I'm explaining that correctly, right?
No, you're
Yeah.
spot on. And
Yeah,
that's where, I mean, you talked about it at the beginning of the podcast, is like we do everything as if we are like a varsity program. We do
yeah.
everything as if we are a D1A. And just with our proximity, we're a D1AA school, but we can take on some of the a lot of the D1A schools in a very competitive game. And but I think it's more just the attitude and environment that we're in. Is it's still a very professional. Like we're going 7 days a week, and we're doing lots of video review, lots of in the gym training. And so we have blocks within our varsity gym where the guys are working with a trainer, in the actual varsity gym on campus with a block time, and it's a team lift. And so everything we are doing is in a professional outfit and as much as varsity as we can make it. And I think that's just an attitude, is like the varsity
Hmm.
status is some schools are fortunate to get it, and some schools are fortunate to have a full-time paid coach. But we don't use that as a hindrance. Is we're ready to work and ready to do everything we can to put the program out there in a professional format and a varsity format. So we don't use that as a crutch at all.
I love hearing that you're doing stuff every day. I love to hear that you're all in the gym and you're doing film study. This is a professional program. Like this is a legitimate, like if you're coming here to play rugby, you're not practicing twice a week and getting nothing. You're doing things the right way. And I
Yeah.
think that's important. And that obviously is also something that players need to know. There's plenty of clubs out there that are social clubs that really help you with your community. And I think players, there's definitely a lot of players that can go participate in those clubs. There's other clubs that want to get after it, want to compete, and want to up the skill level of rugby across the country. And it sounds like this is one of those type of programs.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, beautiful to hear it. And I was looking at this. I know we were talking a little bit before the podcast too. I'm a huge fan of the city of Vancouver. I love it there. Obviously you work in Vancouver, or you not Vancouver, but you work in Canada still. You guys are playing those teams up there as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. We always get them on our schedule, and so it's basically an hour drive up to Vancouver, and and then we go to the ferry across the University of Victoria, and both have been in like elite programs in North
Yeah.
America for the last almost 100 years, really.
No.
And so a lot of the people, especially in NorCal, a lot of the people would probably know UBC. They have that long-standing tradition playing Cal.
Mhm.
And so that's an old rivalry that dates back. I think it goes back to almost the 1930s or the 19, like an old trophy that they've played for. So yeah, no, it's the proximity to Canada is also quite nice.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think definitely a difference maker compared to other clubs, like to other opportunities and other programs around there, right?
Oh,
Such a cool
absolutely.
opportunity. And UBC is no joke. Like I know, I mean,
Yeah.
those like it goes back and forth with all the top D1A schools every year. So that's like a legit program there. So being able to play them and really kind of level set, I think is important. You got to play those schools to understand where you're at and understand where you need to get to, right?
Yeah,
For
So
sure.
exactly.
yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. Lyndon, George, I'd love to kind of talk to you about like what your weeks, what like a normal week look like for either of you in regards to what your practices were look like, how you guys managed your workload from an academic standpoint. Just kind of talk about your week so that any players that want to maybe consider Western Washington can understand it from a player's point of view.
Yeah, well, as you start on the Monday, we kind of always like to start with a team meeting ahead of practice on the Monday. So it'll probably be if we had a game the weekend before, we usually have like a film session or we cover the team that we're playing the next weekend. And then we talk split into units while we're at that too, talking the forwards and backs separately about what we need to target in the next match and kind of what the week looks like ahead. And then the rest of that Monday is just full on field training. Mostly skills on a Monday, although if we didn't have the game the previous Saturday, we go a little harder when it comes to cardio. Tuesday, we're back on the field again. It's our good contact day. Tuesdays where we get a lot of our workload in. Wednesday is our big gym day. It's our middle of the week where we got our buddy teammate Brady who likes to cover a lot of our in the gym stuff for us. But then we also get time in the school's varsity gym, as Robo mentioned earlier, with the lifting coach there. And we have a full program set out year round for us, including summer breaks and winter breaks. Thursday, we're back on. Thursday's a lot more tactical, kind of covering what our goals are in the game and what we need to cover to beat the team ahead. And then Friday, we're back in the gym, and it's all about recovery and stretching and preparing for the Saturday. Of course, Saturday's a rugby day. And then back to Sunday's just all about recovery.
Awesome. That's awesome. I love hearing that. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
Lyndon,
I would say I just to add on to that, it's definitely a very like manageable split. You know, 3 trainings a week and then 2 lifts. I mean, it's definitely we have most of our players will lift on their own time a lot more than that too, and it makes it very manageable. You know, along with school, like when we're in kind of when school's in full swing, it's not too much of a trouble for anyone. I mean, the team has pretty good grades, so it makes it very easy, and we stay very fit and active. So it's
Yeah,
very
talk about
fulfilling
that.
for us.
Talking about that academic side, last year there was a couple fellas. We started getting together in like study groups and stuff for guys who are in similar majors and classes and stuff, and just to make sure everyone was getting the work they need to get done. Because of course, every school has like a GPA they need to reach in order to play, and we want to make sure no players falling behind. So we do get study groups together, especially on the quarter system. Classes are only 12 weeks long, which means the courses can be sometimes a little intensive, especially once you get to that higher level majors. So yeah, the fellows who are needing to get together, we do organize study groups for them.
it's great. So you got a bit of a community within the club as well, trying to make sure that you're all achieving your own set goals, right?
Yeah,
Trying to help each
exactly.
other.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what rugby's all about, man. Gotta love
yeah.
that. Gotta love that. I was doing a little research before we got on the club. If you haven't checked out the Western Washington Rugby website, it's wwurugby.org. Really professional website here, guys. I saw your basically your download of last season. Lyndon, congrats! It looks like forward of the year. Awesome
Right.
stuff. What like is that something you were expecting when you got in? What kind of maybe led to, that success throughout the year? How did you, as a freshman last year, right? I think that's pretty impressive. So would love to hear your
Yeah,
thoughts on
that's it. Definitely, it came a little bit out of the blue. I was not like going into it expecting it. You know, I was just kind of working hard every day, every week. You know, going through it, and I mean, it just felt so good because we have such an outstanding like pack of forwards, and not just our forwards, but it's just such skill all the way through, and throughout every year we have some older boys that I couldn't thank enough. Like, I feel like I owe it to them that I got the forward of the year. I mean, they taught me so much, and it's really just fantastic. Like, it was such a treat for my first year. So yeah, I did not expect it.
Well, awesome, man. Well, awesome. Congrats. Certainly, I always love to see NorCal guys getting accolades. That's for sure. I love being able to show that off. That's because I'm a NorCal guy. You know what I mean? Through and through. So we like seeing NorCal guys do well. We like seeing clubs that NorCal guys go to do well. I think it's a testament to the level of players that we have in Northern California, and hopefully, it motivates kids and players to continue and go play. I mean, I think the more NorCal players that continue to play, I think better rugby. I think the better rugby is going to be across the country. So, Adam, like looking ahead, we're at the beginning of the season here. Long road ahead. It's your first year. Any team goals? Anything you're trying to do this year? Anything you're trying to achieve or move forward to? Would love to kind of hear your thoughts on that, and then maybe where you want to be in 3 to 5.
I think I mean our goals are high. Like we want to win, and that's like a big priority. Is like, I know a lot of people will talk like process driven, and absolutely, like I don't want to mitigate that fact, but like we're here to win, and we have high standards for the guys, and our expectations are higher for this season. I think we came up short last year against a really strong, like mature San Diego team in the national quarterfinal, and they were great. And I think it kind of set the bar and the standard for us. Like, we need to be better, and we need to, like you talked about earlier, is like work on the details and make sure that our guys, we were very young last year. So I feel like, and we're going to be young again this year. So it's just kind of continuing to build and kind of build that. A big part is like how well the players off field are responding. And, a lot of coaches, it can be coach driven in a lot of ways, but it's, we put a lot of emphasis on the players to take responsibility and accountability off the field to make sure that their training is going well. They're doing well academically. So I'd say that's my goal, is to continue to challenge ourselves against some of the top programs in the US and Canada, and to make sure that these guys are understanding how quickly you have to make decisions under duress, and choosing the right options to put yourself in the position to have success. So right away, I mean, obviously, like I said, winning is priority one, and I think the process will get us there. But it'll be. It's a grind. The season's long. Goff did a report a couple years ago about who plays the most rugby in North America for colleges, and Western was in the top 3 of games played per year, because we can play all year here, which is nice. We're not bound by snow or inclement weather. And so certainly it does rain in the Pacific Northwest, but it doesn't phase us. So we play a ton of rugby, and so it is a long season for the guys, and they're always ready to respond. I love their gumption to play.
Yeah, I'm looking at your schedule online, and I mean, first game September 27th. I mean, you're going to run all the way through D1 AA, national championships, which is May, right? Like, that's a long season, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to play a lot of rugby, that's a long season. Right.
Yeah.
And not only that, like, not saying, I mean, obviously you guys want to win, but you have been winning, right? You won your conference I think you won your conference in 15s and 7s last year, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. And it's been like that for some time. Yeah. It's been like that for some time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, so you've got some sustained success here too. You've got some sustained things that you're going to go to. I mean, that's awesome to see. I notice also you guys tour a bit too. Not only it looks like obviously domestically, but also internationally. Do you guys have any plans for for tours, international tours, domestic tours every year? How does that work?
Yeah, yes. So every 2 years we try and go on a tour, and so this year we're going to go to either Ireland or the south of England, and continue to challenge the guys overseas, and it's also, as you know, like for rugby, it's a great bonding experience for the guys and bringing them together. And so we're going down to play Cal Poly this year, and we're still trying to, probably next year we're looking to try and get Cal and Arizona and St. Mary's on our schedule, and just really trying to continue to build those higher level games from the D1A teams. And it's just a question of just finagling it within our schedule to make it work. But when you say getting all the games, we don't just focus on just our top team. Is we make sure every weekend we get 2 games, and so everybody plays every weekend, which again is I think for a huge for development and pedagogical evolution is like these guys need to play to understand what's going on, and so I do believe in that, and we've had great success because of it.
Are you a
Yeah,
physical education teacher as well? I got to ask because you're saying all the right PE stuff.
Yeah. I've
I
been
knew.
I've been a teacher. I've been a teacher here for 20 years.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. I mean,
And
you're talking about pedagogy and growth and kind of everything. I get what you're saying there. That's good. Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool. Is like there's 5 kids from my high school on the Canada men's team.
hmm
So
Oh,
it's like so my high school has had like a lot of kids move on like so currently
it's
that
beautiful.
game that they just played the US I went to Calgary to watch the boys play. It was great.
Really nice. That's awesome, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love to hear it. I love to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when it comes down to it, it looks like this sounds like a program that, players that want to play at a higher level, get a lot of rugby in and really develop, stay on the West Coast, maybe go up to the Pacific Northwest if that's your vibe, right? It sounds like that's something that that type of player would need to consider Western Washington. This is going to be our next phase question of the day. What kind of players and we'll start with Adam. What kind of players are you looking to recruit? What kind of players are you looking for when it comes to, players that want to come to Western Washington? What are some key characteristics, physically, mentally, kind of all that? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I would say I always start from like the mental side is like what kind of a kid are they? Is are they willing to grind it out a little bit and are they willing to get gritty and stay in the fight with us and they want to come to a program that's sustained success but they want to continue to build on it and continue to move this program forward and to keep us at the top. So I would say we you can you get a good gauge when we do these Zoom calls with kids is how motivated are they to really push themselves and to drive their teammates. And because like I said earlier about that accountability off the field is you need guys that are going to drive the standard off the field when when the coach isn't able to be there. It's like what are they doing when we're not watching? And I think that's a big part. But I mean, obviously, just kids that are able to that can play. Especially coming from high school, is like a lot of bodies are going to be changing and skills are going to be becoming different. Is not pigeonholing yourself like I'm just a prop or I'm just a lock. Like the skills will evolve and bodies will evolve, and I think being able to have a multifaceted like athletic acumen to be able to transition to that next level is being able to do multiple things and offer a lot of value in many areas. I think is something we try to key on. And I mean, obviously, just athleticism is
Yeah.
just pure athleticism. You can't teach. Is it? It's one of those innate skills that some people are gifted with, and that's I think the lower down the pecking order. But like we try and get like wicked athletes that can transition from 15s to sevens and just have that spark and are ready to go. So that would be I think in a nutshell maybe that would be it.
Yeah, I like it. No, I think that's fantastic. Lyndon, George, I'd love to maybe talk from a teammate perspective, right? Because I think that's where you guys would sit on this. Like, what are you looking for in a teammate? What are you looking for in a person that joins your club? And as two guys that are at that university and want to win and want to participate in this thing and really being rugby diehards, both of you. So, would love to hear that.
yeah. I mean, Robo talks about guys who kind of drive you off the field. I'm a fan of a guy who keeps you accountable. The kind of dude who's like calling you out in the gym for not working hard enough, or calling you out during running when you're running around. You're like, yeah, you're slagging behind, bro. Pick it up. Like the kind of person who pushes you to that next level is the kind of teammate you want. But also a kind of a guy who enjoys having a bit of fun, like laughing, little laugh after practice. Just a guy who pushes you, but also is willing to have a bit of fun too.
Yeah, we definitely look for some like, I mean, we don't look for, but we have some just fantastic personalities on our pitch, and it makes it just such like it makes the chemistry so much better out there. Like, when we're playing, when you're willing to die for the guy next to you, that's kind of that's what we harp on, and it's also, it's as Robo and George said, it's definitely a lot about accountability, and we're very like kind of responsible team. We take it into our own hands a lot, like to do the extra things, and like everyone on our A side and like everyone on our entire team just needs to like have that want to grow. And I think we have that. And it's a very like kind of distinct collection of individuals that have that, like these aspirations to just be as good as they can. And it forms this just unbreakable kind of force. It's fantastic from our guys.
Beautiful. I love hearing that, man. That's great. Really, and I think we're all getting a really good picture of what your guys' culture is all about. And I think that's something that's really important. Obviously, maybe even the most important part of the rugby side of it when you're going to a club. What is the culture? And what is the right fit, right? Everyone's got, different personalities and different fits. And so this sounds like I'm glad everyone's going to get a good understanding of what the right fit might look like for Western Washington. So that's great stuff. Before we hop off here, Coach, Lyndon, George, anything you want to say to the Rugby NorCal community? Anything you want to talk about before we get off, or maybe how do we, how can we get in contact? What should we do from a recruiting standpoint?
Yeah, well, at least from a social media point of view, you can always DM the Instagram account, WW Rugby. We've got a few guys on there constantly monitoring messages. So yeah, if you want to reach out via that. But otherwise, Robo's kind of our head of recruitment as well as being the head coach. So he can talk a little bit about the recruitment process.
Well, I think, we haven't really met before, but hopefully you get the picture. Like, I love people and I love kids, and I love seeing the growth of, that's why I got into teaching. I love watching kids and helping them kind of reach the standard and the lifestyle they want, and giving good boundaries. And I think that is one piece where, like, if a kid reaches out, and I will talk to every single kid that wants to come here and have Zoom calls. Like, I'm a real nerd for rugby, and I love it. Like, I love rugby so much, and I love kids, so it works out really well to be able to help them. And I'm not a pressure guy. Like, if a kid wants to just talk about where they want to go to school or what are different schools, is I'm very open to like where their lifestyle wants to take them and what their goals and aspirations are academically and with rugby. And so I do a lot of talks at schools here for kids about where they want to go to school. And it's not just about selling Western Washington, it's about selling to that next level. So, getting the kids prepared for what is the academic track and how you can get yourself to different schools. And I'm just a big believer in the American sports model, like the high school, college, professional. And I think that's where America has it over anywhere else in the world. Is a lot of places in the Commonwealth have gone to like a more of a the Commonwealth model is more of like high school, you get picked up and you go to a professional environment into an academy, but you've missed the school portion. And whereas I'm a very big fan of like developing the whole and coming to this place for a great education and a phenomenal culture, and we play great rugby, and you're well looked after. Is like, we're educators at heart. Mr. Horn was a teacher for almost 40 years, and we're educators at heart. We want the kids to have success in their life, and rugby is a byproduct of that, and it's a great way to teach the life lessons moving forward. But I think kids that want to reach out is fill out the interested player form online on our website, www.rugby.org, and from there is like we take it and have Zoom calls. We come down to Northern California once or twice a year to do a bit of a recruiting trip and get down to because that I find NorCal and SoCal probably the best two regions in America for rugby on the whole. Certainly,
Mhm.
there's pockets in other areas, and don't want to diminish that, but I think on the whole, there's the most rugby being played in those areas. So we kind of target those regions a lot when we recruit, and going through Next Phase has been a nice addition. The people that run Next Phase, I think, have done a great job. Give
Yeah.
them a plug. But I really like their website, and it's allowed us to get out and meet more kids that way and see what's out there.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love what Greg's doing with Next Phase. Obviously, they're one of our sponsors, and I think it's just
Oh,
a
okay. I didn't even
phenomenal.
know
Yeah,
that. That's great.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they're one of our sponsors, and they have a. I mean, it's just really a phenomenal way for players to connect with coaches and with programs to like find the right fit. Right? Like, it's
Yeah.
just so important. I think it's just so important. And there's no other sport in the country where if you're like every high school kid in Northern California can play rugby in college. Now, like,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of different type of programs out there, right? And so you got to find the right fit. But
Right.
like every single kid that's playing rugby in Northern California can play at a university level, and so I just think that's a huge driver. You just got to go to Next Phase figure out, what's the right fit. So if you want to go to Western, create a Next Phase Rugby account and start chatting that way. It's beautiful. Well, guys, I do want to really appreciate you guys bringing, coming on to the podcast today. I'm going to put your website and your contact in the show notes here. So if you guys are listening to this now or watching it on YouTube, just go ahead and look at the notes right there. You can get in contact with everyone here. Check out their Instagrams and, start this process. Again, we're early on in the process here. So you can get the conversations going, really figure out, if Western Washington is the right pick for you. And then, see where your rugby life takes you. I think it's just super important. But again, guys, I just really appreciate you taking the time. I love seeing two NorCal guys having great success at a university level. Awesome, obviously awesome to see. And let's just keep this thing on rolling. And we really appreciate the time.
Yeah, appreciate it, Nate. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you so much, Nate.
Awesome.
Very appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
All right, everyone. We'll see you.